This is the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation.
(8:45). This is the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. Here is the news edited by Dhanushka Madhawala and read by Indrani Senanayaka. The headlines. Minister Dr. Bandula Gunawardena said that investors have been allowed to purchase 200 electric buses for operation in the Western Province. The National Dengue Prevention Unit warns that there is a threat in the increase of the dengue menace. The Health Ministry has announced that the surgeries at the National Eye Hospital are taking place normally at present. President to attend G77 in Cuba address UNGA sessions. A delegation from Sri Lanka has visited Indonesia to study the Indonesian social protection system. The National Eye Hospital resumes surgeries. In foreign news, Putin and Erdogan talks over grain deal begins. Minister of Transport, Highways and Mass Media, Dr. Bandula Gunawardena said that investors have been allowed to purchase 200 electric buses for operation in the Western Province. The minister also pointed out that this program will be implemented in accordance with the World Agreement, where all public transportation worldwide will be free from fossil fuels by 2030. Minister of Transport, Highways and Mass Media, Dr. Bandula Gunawardena, conveyed these updates during a media briefing held at the Presidential Media Centre under the theme, Collective Path to a Stable Country. Minister Dr. Bandula Gunawardena further said that all government institutions should be digitized to prevent decrease in income. A cabinet paper has been presented to replace issuance of tickets with electronic cards. When they transact using advanced technology such as card or QR systems instead of cash, you would increase the income of each of these institutions by at least 50%. Institutions such as the Inland Revenue Department, Customs, Excise Department, Railways, the Sri Lanka Transport Board can be rebuilt through modern technology. Without it, the government cannot bear the burden. Many changes have been made to the railway system. The National Dengue Prevention Unit warns that there is a threat in the increase of the dengue menace after the commencement of the monsoon rainy season. Dengue prevention programs were implemented during the last 3 days in the dengue high-risk areas. More than 62,000 dengue patients have been reported in the country so far this year. Director of the National Dengue Prevention Unit, Consultant Dr. Nalin Aryaratna, said that around 20% of them are school children. More than 50% of the patients have been reported from the Western Province. He said that 38 deaths were reported due to the dengue menace this year. The Health Ministry has announced that the surgeries at the National Eye Hospital are taking place normally at present. The Ministry of Health confirmed that surgeries will be conducted at the eye hospital as usual. There are no threats to patients with regard to these operations. Chairman of the Medical Supplies Division, Kapila Vikramanayaka, stated that there is no shortage of lenses in the Medical Supplies Division. Stocks enough for 6 months have been distributed to the hospitals in the month of May. This news comes to you from the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation, and we continue with local news. President Ranil Wickremesinghe is scheduled to leave the country on the 13th of this month to attend the 78th annual session of the United Nations General Assembly, which will begin in New York on the 19th of this month, and the G77 summit, which will be held in Havana, Cuba on the 15th and 16th of this month. The President, who will visit Cuba first, will participate in the G77 summit in Havana on the 15th and 16th. After that, the President will go to New York to join the 78th annual session of the United Nations General Assembly beginning on the 19th and will address the event on the 21st. In Havana, as well as in New York, the President will hold official-level discussions with many world leaders who will participate in those conferences. The G77 has 134 member countries from the economically developing world and is a branch of the non-aligned movement which started in 1964 with 77 countries including Sri Lanka. A delegation from Sri Lanka has visited Indonesia to study the Indonesian social protection system. The aim of the visit is to get a deeper knowledge of the system. With the proposed new legal amendments, it is expected to introduce unemployment insurance, maternity benefits, and to increase the medical health facilities in places of work. This system is already implemented in Indonesia, and Sri Lanka hopes to implement this system in the country after the amendments. Several high-ranking officials are in Indonesia after a request made by Minister Manusha Nanayakkara from the International Labour Organization. That ends the local segment of news.
The main news story is brought to you by Siddhalepa Vedamahatmya.
The Department of Examinations announced that the results of the 2022 GCE Advanced Level Examination has been released online. The Commissioner General of Examinations said that the results can be viewed through the website www.doenets.lk and www.results.exams.gov.lk websites. This year, the examination saw 278,196 school applicants and 53,513 private applicants participate. A total of 20,000 teachers and 1,100 university lecturers were responsible for evaluating the advanced level answer sheets.
The main news story was brought to you by Siddhalepa Vedamahatmya.
We now take a look at Watchlight. 2 freezers of the mortuary of the Monaragala District Hospital have been inactive for several days owing to improper maintenance. Due to this reason, dead bodies have to be sent to the mortuary at the Siambalandur Base Hospital. An official of the hospital said that the relevant companies have been informed to repair these 2 freezers. That was Watchlight.
World News. Brought to you by courtesy of...
Say no more to moving and paying rent. Get a home loan from Commercial Bank at the lowest interest rate and get a home of your own.
Which bhakta are you in now?
In Javatta, in my own house.
World News, the headlines first. Putin and Erdogan. Talks over grain deal begins. Revelers begin to leave Burning Man Festival as boggy conditions improve. India puts moon lander Chandrayaan-3 and rover in sleep mode. Russian President Vladimir Putin is meeting with Turkey's leader Tayyip Erdogan in Sochi to potentially discuss reviving the Black Sea grain deal, hours after Moscow attacked Ukraine's Danube River ports for the second straight night. Russia claimed it destroyed 4 Ukrainian military boats carrying troops towards Crimea. Meanwhile, Russian air defenses intercepted Ukrainian drones over Crimea and the southwest Kirkuk region. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has dismissed Defense Minister Oleksiy Reznikov, saying the ministry needs new approaches as the war enters its 19th month. Rustem Umerov is said to take over. Ukraine says it is consolidating battlefield gains as officials push back on claims the counter-offensive is moving too slowly. Weather conditions at the Burning Man Festival in the US have eased enough to allow revelers to start leaving. Heavy rain has turned the event, held in the desert in Nevada, into a mud bath. The ground is now dry enough for vehicles to drive on it without getting stuck, and pictures show camper vans driving out of the event. Some 72,000 people have been stranded at the festival, but organizers said they are ready for a mass exodus from today. local time. They have also confirmed that a man's death at the event on Friday was unrelated to the bad weather. They said that emergency services were called to help the man, said to be about 40 years old, but he could not be resuscitated. The local sheriff's office earlier said it was investigating. India's lunar lander and rover have been put to bed as the sun begins to set on the moon, the country's space research agency ISRO said. They have put in sleep mode and will fall asleep next to each other once the solar power is depleted and the battery is drained, it said. India's space research agency added that it hoped they would reawaken around 22nd of September when the next lunar day starts. The lander and rover need sunlight to charge their batteries and function. The Vikram lander, carrying a rover called Pragyan in its belly, touched down on the moon's little explored south pole on the 23rd of August. With that, India becomes the first country to land near the lunar south pole. It also joined an elite club of countries to achieve a soft landing on the moon after the US, the former Soviet Union and China. The Indian Space Agency has been providing regular updates on the lander and the rover's movements and finding and sharing images taken by them. To end this bulletin of world news, the headlines again. Putin and Erdogan talks over grain deal begins. Revellers begin to leave Burning Man festival as boggy conditions improve. India puts moonlander Chandrayaan-3 and rover in sleep mode. That ends this bulletin of world news.
World News. Brought to you by courtesy of...
This message is for all the kids between the ages of 4 and 16 who love to draw. Commercial Bank's Arunalu Sittam is back once again. This time, the competition is also open to Sri Lankan kids currently living abroad. First, second and third place prizes will be awarded along with special merit and merit certificates. For more information, visit the Commercial Bank website. We have so many prizes to be won.
Development News is brought to you by
Job opportunities for well-experienced housemaids and home cooks in Saudi Arabia and Kuwait for ages 40 to 58 years. Salary 135,000 rupees. Contact 037 7500 500.
The Sri Lanka and Australia Chamber of Commerce is pleased to unveil an unprecedented initiative that promises to further strengthen the long-standing friendship between Sri Lanka and Australia. Accordingly, under the banner of a journey of exploration, an exhilarating series of events is set to unfold as the Chamber expects to host the high-profile Australian Trade Delegation 2023. This series of events is expected to be a captivating blend of exploration, cultural immersion and economic collaboration designed to forge stronger bonds between the two nations and
Job opportunities for women from Deshak Lanka in Saudi Arabia, Kuwait and Oman. Housemaids and home cooks in Saudi Arabia, ages 40 to 58 years. Arabic speaking and well experienced home cooks. Salary 135,000 rupees. Interviews are now on with foreign agents. You can travel overseas free of charge now. Branches Colombo, Kurunagala, Anuradhapura and Matara. Contact number 0377 500 500. Deshak Lanka Foreign Employment Agency.
On to sports news, golf first. Newly turned professional Ludwig Aberg will make his Ryder Cup bow for Europe after being named in Captain Luke Donnell's sixth wildcard picks today. The 23-year-old, who only turned professional in June, won the European Masters in Switzerland yesterday. Tommy Fleetwood, Seb Straka, Justin Rose, Shane Lowry and Nikolai Hogyard have been picked for the 12-man team to face the United States in Rome. That was sports news. Now it's Formula One. Mercedes team principal Toto Wolff says Red Bull driver Max Verstappen's all-time record of 10 consecutive wins is completely irrelevant. Verstappen's victory of Monza on Sunday means he surpassed his Red Bull predecessor Sebastian Vettel's run of 9 straight victories in 2013 and accomplished something Mercedes did not during their period of domination between 2014 and 2020. That was sports news.
Go ekak thiyana youth eකට life එකේ change එකට නියමෙට set වෙන්න ඇස් වහගෙන දැකපු හින හැබැ කරන්න youth එකට නියමෙට set වෙන්න friendship එක මෙන්න
The all new NSB Ithru Mithru account NSB IM, a plan for your dream.
Business News, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
The Central Bank of Sri Lanka stated that nearly 238.5 million damaged or defaced banknotes worth 207.3 billion rupees were destroyed last year. The CBSL stated that the measure was taken to ensure the circulation of quality and clean currency notes in the country. CBSL statistics state that 343.8 million mutilated notes worth 252.2 billion rupees were destroyed in 2018. In 2019, a total of 235 million damaged or defaced banknotes worth 139.8 billion rupees were destroyed. A total of 127.3 million mutilated notes worth 62.2 billion rupees were destroyed in 2020 and 108.2 million notes worth 44.3 billion rupees were destroyed in 2021.
Business News, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
Go ekak thiyana youth එකට life එකේ change එකට නියමෙට set වෙන්න ඇස් වහගෙන දැකපු හින හැබැ කරන්න youth එකට නියමෙට set වෙන්න friendship එක මෙන්න
The all new NSB Ithru Mithru account NSB IM, a plan for your dream.
On to economic news. The Sri Lanka Bureau of Foreign Employment says over 200,000 Sri Lankans have left for foreign employment as of yesterday. The SLBC stated that a total of 200,026 persons registered with the Bureau have left for overseas employment so far this year. The highest departure for foreign employment was recorded in 2022, with a total of 311,000 Sri Lankans have left the country. The SLBC estimates that over 300,000 persons will leave for overseas employment this year as well. That was economic news.
Weather report.
Finally, we take a look at the weather report. Showers or thunder showers will occur at times in the western, Sabaragamuwa, southern, central and northwestern provinces. Fairly heavy showers above 50 millimeters are likely at some places in the western and Sabaragamuwa provinces and in the Galle, Mathura and Nuwara districts. A few showers are likely in Jaffna, Mannar and the Anuradhapura districts. Fairly strong winds of about 40 to 45 kilometers per hour can be expected at times on the western slopes of the Central Hills, the western, southern, northwestern, northern and north-central provinces. To end tonight's news broadcast, the headlines again. Minister Dr. Bandula Gunawardena said that investors have been allowed to purchase 200 electric buses for operation in the Western Province. The National Dengue Prevention Unit warns that there is a threat in the increase of the dengue menace. The Health Ministry has announced that the surgeries at the National Eye Hospital are taking place normally at present. President to attend G77 in Cuba addressed UNGA sessions. A delegation from Sri Lanka has visited Indonesia to study the Indonesian social protection system. National Eye Hospital resumes surgeries. In foreign news, Putin and Erdogan talks over grain deal begins. That ends tonight's news broadcast.